Har Herzl. It's a difficult place to visit when you think back at all the lives that have been lost in the struggle for an independent and safe state. And walking through, seeing Herzl's grave and his dream becoming a reality, and then looking at Rabin's grave and that tragedy that happened just a couple years ago, and then finally coming to new graves of soldiers who have risked their lives and given their lives for this country. And it makes you think. These kids are young. Drafted at 18 to protect the state of Israel, and they paid their lives. They still pay their lives.
First section is the section that you bury this year or this week or this month, and I'm standing here in civil clothes like any civilian. Why? Because my commanders told me and my buddies, you're not allowed to come with your uniform because there will be so many journalists here and they'll take your photos, and we don't want your photos to be in their albums. And of course we look like triangles. Here's everything chocolate and cubes, muscles, and we have suits that don't fit us with big sunglasses. Everybody is clear who are those guys. And here's my commander. His name is Yonatan Netanyahu, or his nickname is Yoni. His brother is today our Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi. And that's one of the unique situations that in a special forces, 3 brothers are serving. Ido, which is a doctor, he deals with anesthesia, and he's still alive, writes books today. One brother is the Prime Minister, and one brother, good buddy of mine, lies here. And I served in what is called special forces that time, and we work like that. We get an alert that an airplane was kidnapped, an Air France airplane on its way from Tel Aviv to Paris, and while landing in Athens in Greece, terrorists go on the plane. They force the pilot to go first to Libya, refuel, and then go to Uganda, where at the time the head of the state is a fat black guy called Idi Amin Dada. And he is the body of Palestinian terrorists, and they land there, and here starts the story of negotiation. And of course it's a French airplane, so France is involved, England is involved, Israel is involved, Palestinians are involved, and they want the release of arch-terrorists and so much money, and the Israelis say, no way, we are not going to release prisoners, and the negotiations start. But special forces act like that. The moment they get the message, they start to train. So first of all, you need intelligence. Luckily, the Israelis built the airport where they landed, Solel Boneh, at the early 50s. So we knew the old plans of the place. Second, they are located on the shores of a lake in Africa, in Uganda, in a place called Entebbe, and the airport touches the water. So we start to make plans. And it goes like that every officer, I was an officer there, has to bring his program how to solve the problem. And at evening time we have a session. Everyone gives his idea about how to solve the problem. And our commanders will choose from here and from there and create and tie together and create a program. And just to give you an idea, because at the beginning we thought we're going to go by airplanes and jump with parachutes into the lake with rubber boats, go quickly to the airport, and then run in with guns and kill the terrorists and release the hostages. And then we get at the experiment the results that the rubber boat exploded, that in the lake there are crocodiles, and the chemical department start to develop a pulver to reject the crocodiles, and those are rebattering the boats, and that's the way it goes, very quickly. And we are building models. Finally, to make a long story short, we decide that 32 of us will go under the command of Yoni, who was the head of that unit at the time, to Uganda. To give you an idea, it's something like 4,000 miles, it's 7 hours flight to go there, and we shall land there, we are out of gas. How shall we come back? What will happen if there is a failure? Yitzhak Rabin delayed was the prime minister, and he said, I take it on my shoulder, guys. He took the responsibility to give us clearance. Not everything is known, even today. It happened at the 3rd and 4th of July, that's the Independence Day of the United States, at the 200th anniversary, 1976, that we did the action. And to surprise the kidnappers, we took off on Shabbat, on Shabbos, and those days Israel occupies Sinai. So we landed in an airfield where Mubarak is landing a lot lately, not far away from the hospital he's being held at Sharm el-Sheikh. And there we were waiting to final green light to continue to Africa. Imagine what your responsibility of somebody who gives clearance for such an action. Imagine you are involved somewhere so far away, nobody can help you, and so on. Anyhow, we had a lot of programs. We thought we're going to come with small airplanes like journalists, and inside the TV will be very sophisticated weapons. We have many systems, and we have to fit very quickly to changing situations. The greatest problem was what? We ran out of gas. So if we ran out of gas, how shall we be able to come back? For that we said, why not use their oil? So if we land there, let's take their oil in our aeroplanes, McDonnell Douglas Herculeses, and with that fly back. So we needed an expert of pumping. There's only one who's considered number one. He serves in the Air Force, but he's so old, so we have to get permission from his wife, he's not a fighter, to come with us because he knows everything about O-rings and fitness and pumping machines and so on. And that was the original plan, to do it like that. In case it fails, what happens? Everything. There is a guy called Maxi. He will lead the soldiers and the hostages and everybody who is alive and capable to move through the jungles to Kenya, where the Mossad will raise a hospital and a refugee place, and he'll navigate through the jungles, though he's never been in his life in a jungle. He's never been in his life in the southern hemisphere. He has never been in his life in such an environment, but we think he'll make it. Thanks God for not having to do that. But what happened was, guys, that when we came over there, the action was so successful, not as in Murphy's Law, and in intelligence there are even more strict laws, that what you think will fail, and so on. The action took only 54 minutes instead of 60 minutes. We lost only our commander and another guy from another unit, instead of what we were calculating at the beginning, that from the 32 of us, 20 won't come back, and then wave A will come in, and they'll have so and so many casualties, and then wave B will come in, and wave C. And we decided to change the program. And all the hostages were released, and all the terrorists were killed. And what we did is, we decided to take off with the shortage of oil we had from Uganda to Kenya, and land there with the permission of the Kenyan government, and there we shall pump in a friendly environment. That is, to summarize the whole issue. All the way there I was asleep, like 7 hours, really, because we were so tired. We were working day and night, and before that, to be prepared for the mission. And I was awake. At a mission, of course, I was awake, but later on the way back, I slept again. And all Israel was celebrating, and the US president was greeting Israel for giving the greatest present for the free world and the Western world by not surrendering to the terrorists, by releasing the hostages as a present for the 200th anniversary of the United States, so on, so on, so on. And we were sad, because our buddy, a poet, a fighter, an amazing character, at the age of 36, the best age of his life, with a new girlfriend, because he was divorced before, and with his pipe and so on, is not anymore. So this section is empty, and we are standing here around, And the habit in the army is that if you are a sergeant, 6 sergeants will carry your coffin. If you are a colonel, 6 colonels will carry your coffin. And he's buried here next to another very good friend of mine, David Elazar, who was the head of staff of the Israeli army. And in Israel it goes like that with such units, like I served at, the head of staff bothers to talk to us personally. What did you feel in that situation? What do you think is that and that may happen, and so on? And they are next to each other. He was blamed of the failure of the Yom Kippur War. And that is so unfair, Dado, so unfair. So he went to play tennis after that. He got out of the swimming pool, got a heart attack, and that's it. Went in a nice way. And they were very close buddies, because many actions that we had to do under his command had to be approved by the head of the Israeli staff. And of course, got the final permission by the political, because we are a democracy.